Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sign of the Times. Hope you had a good weekend. My friends, tonight, I'm Bishop David Alston. Thank you for joining us. Let's go live tonight with my special guest, Bishop Gerald Sylver. Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us on this beautiful Monday night. Monday night. Monday night. I hope you and pray, and I'm sure you had a wonderful weekend. You're still here, so that means you've had a good weekend. We're still in the middle of some difficult days, but there is hope ahead. I want to thank you for taking time to join us tonight so that we can talk about the signs of the times. I want to thank you for that. I want to remind you, however, no matter what other people are saying or doing, I want to challenge you tonight to do something special. I want to challenge you to stay safe. I want to challenge you to take the necessary precautions, do what you have to do. I always tell you, wear your hand sanitizer, your mask, whatever it is, your PPEs. Listen, this pandemic is not over. We're right in the middle of it. And although we're going to come out of it eventually, right now we're still right in the middle of a difficult time and a difficult situation. But I believe with my whole heart that we're going to come out of it. And we're also battling a lot of things going on. And so tonight we have a special guest that's going to come and we're going to talk and we're going to get into it. Last week was so powerful. I mean, it was crazy. Last week's our shows were just stupid. And we're going to start this week off with a stupid show tonight. And we got a special guest tomorrow. We got a special guest Wednesday. We got guests from Houston, Florida. We're coming together from all over. And here is a special announcement. A special announcement. We're working on it. Already got it uh, confirmed. We just have to get the day that my guest is going to come on. Some of you probably going to say that I backslid. I didn't backslide. We got a guest coming on that used to be, and I know old school like me, when I tell you who this guest is, some of you gonna say, wow, he was the lead guitar player for the Commodores. But now he is a minister of music in the house of the Lord playing. But I just hope that when he comes on, whether it's this week or early next week, that I start singing Amazing Grace and I don't start singing Brick House. Because, back in the day when the Commodores, we used to have the Afro and Lionel Richie and the Commodores. We're trying to get guests on here for you that we can really lead you in the signs of the time. Listen, I want to challenge you during the show tonight. Post your comments and your questions below for the man of God. He was on a few weeks ago, and I'm telling you, we got into it. It was a powerful show. And so I had to get him back. When the show ended, we said we were going to get him back, and we're doing that tonight. So I want you all to help me tonight. Help me to welcome to Sign of the Time my dear friend and brother that I've known most of my life, ever since I was a little boy. I was a little boy, and he was a grown man. probably in his 50s back when I was a little. No, I'm just joking. He's not that much. He's not that much older. But help me welcome my brother, Bishop Gerald Sylver. Thank you for joining us again, my friend.
Bless you, my brother. It's so good to see you. Thank you for having me back.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
'cause I'm now
First
100 years old.
the first time you on, you just blew us away, and we talked about how when I was a little boy, you used to preach and run youth revival for us in Philly, and you
Yeah.
had the long white robe, and I could still see that white robe streaking down the aisle, preaching and hollering.
I also had the curl and
You
all
had the curl. I remember the curls. If
that,
you're like
whatever that
if you're
was.
like me, you can't really tell it because I have on a black shirt. Maybe if I do a profile to the side, you can see how
Oh,
long the beard is. I,
yeah, I see it.
I kind of switched from up here and pulled it down. Just let gravity pull it on down.
All right, man. I wish I could do that.
And
It took me a while to even do this.
oh
And
yeah,
people are asking me, did you color it? I said, no, it just grew out.
uh,
It
and my
grew out
daughter used to
like
joke.
this.
I don't know whether she remembers it, but my daughter said one time, she said, "Dad, your hair is like Taco Bell." And I said, "Taco Bell?" And she said, "Yeah, your hairline is going south for the border." So,
Yeah. Listen, so use this. My uncle told me, he said, tell everybody because I had a receding hairline. He said the whole family, all
uh,
the males in the family had this receding hairline. He said, tell them brains and hair don't mix. You got
okay,
either have one of them.
all right. I'm gonna leave that alone. I don't.
Oh my
Man, thank you for joining us. It's good to laugh during times like this. It's good to have something to be
need
happy about. Unfortunately, this country and this world that we're living in, we're in some times that are not very funny right now. And although we sit here and laugh about hairlines and beards and yesteryear and how things were going, well, that was the past. Where we're living today, there's not a whole lot of laughter going on in the world.
Yeah. Well, Bishop, there's never really been anything funny about the plight of Black people. And I think we have to laugh. We have to find some humor somewhere, just like we have to find God in
Mhm.
everything that happens.
Right.
Because if we don't, we lose our minds. And I say that because there has been no people on the face of this earth treated like Black people. Black people have been
Mm.
enslaved by almost every ethnic group there is.
Wow.
And every ethnic group, you name them, including Black people.
Right. Hmm.
If we tell the truth, we've been enslaved by every group. And even in America now, I say when I think about where we are and the intentional objective of making Black people the permanent lower class in
Okay.
America, then it's no laughing matter.
Mm.
And all these things that happen, the murders, the police brutality, the racism, the voter suppression, all of those things happen because this is what the dominant culture decides to do, is that we're going to make them the lower permanent class of
Hmm.
people. And
Well,
notice I'm using the class instead of race,
mm.
the lower permanent class, so that we will always be dependent on somebody else to take care of us.
Yeah,
Now, I know that sounds like a Black nationalist
it's true.
message, but it is true. And unless we find a way to come out of this, we're going to end up being that because every immigrant, and every ethnic immigrant ethnics that come to America seems to make it better than all Black people.
Right.
I
you
don't
you
know.
know you
I don't know if
I
people have
do know.
noticed that.
I do. I'll tell you how I noticed that. Uh, Being from Philly, I noticed that because I remember going to the corner store to get a hoagie and some candy, and it was owned by people of another nationality, came from another country, And when I happened to do a little inquiring, I found out that the government allowed them to come in, start their business. They set them up in business, gave them all kind of breaks, and gave them like a 5 year period to actually where they had to pay they went through like 5 years in which they couldn't really see a profit. They had to grow their business, and I was thinking nobody gave me 5 years to. I mean,
Tell me. Well, let me tell you what happened in Raleigh during the Iraq War. Um, there were over 600, I believe, Iraqis taken from Iraq and brought to North Carolina. Matter of fact, they were brought to the Triangle area
mm,
here in North Carolina, in Raleigh. Do
mm.
you know that Raleigh gave them money to start businesses, stores all downtown, where black people only now have a couple of barber shops. That's all we've had in the last few years. When at one time near the downtown area, we had a grocery store, because
Mm.
everybody shopped in
Right.
Raleigh down at the grocery store because black people didn't have a lot of transportation. So it was easy to catch the bus,
Hmm.
go to the grocery store on the corner down there at and Wilmington Street and buy your groceries and get back on the bus and go home.
Okay.
And most black people live near downtown.
Okay.
They live near downtown. So black people tried to get businesses downtown. No one, including the state, the city, no one would give them money to do that. But as soon as the Iraqis came, they start opening up grocery stores, all kinds of stores. Everybody had something down there, but black people. Only those barbershops.
I went to a Ross. Maybe I shouldn't have called the name of the store, but it's too late now. I can't take it back. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have just said I went to a store, but it's too late.
Well, I'm not gonna bother you about that because I'm at the point where I think we ought to call names.
All
I
right.
know we
Well,
get
I
in
went.
trouble. I know we get in trouble about it, but I've been in trouble before, so that's nothing different for me.
Well, I went to a Ross, and the greeter at the door that's counting how many people comes in, and the people behind the cash register, the everyone that's running the store were of Indian descent. Okay, they were all of Indian descent. They own the store. My question is, when you go into a store and you see a family or a culture of Indians owning this big department store, Ross is a very big department store chain. Um, the stereotype is that they got ahead because they work hard, and that we, the like you said, it seems like our only success is the barber shop or the auto mechanic shop is because we don't work hard. The stereotype that we're lazy and filthy, dirty, whatever. Deal with that.
Well, and I hate to hear that because no one has worked harder than black people. And let's stay in North Carolina. North Carolina's wealth was built on the backs of slaves.
Okay. Uh-huh.
This state got wealthy and rich through tobacco.
Right. Definitely.
Can I say
Right.
that?
Yes, you can say that.
Wealthy and rich through tobacco that was worked by black people, slaves, and it made them wealthy, and they never shared the wealth. Now, let's go from slavery to when they made the Homestead Act. When
Okay.
they made the Homestead Act, the president of U.S. decided to give land away to people to be settled.
Mm-hmm.
White people got it, immigrants got it. A few slaves got some land, but we never received what was due to us, the 40 acres and the mule. We never got the land that should have been given to us because if we had received it, that would have been inherited wealth. But despite that, we worked and had Wall Streets in many cities across the
Mm-hmm.
country,
Mm-hmm.
and they burned them all up and took the wealth from us.
Mm-hmm.
So you wonder why we are where we are? Then the country said, no, you're going to be beholden to us for everything you do. So everything you have, now you got to get welfare. And they talked about us having welfare, but corporations get welfare. It ain't nothing
Right.
but corporate welfare. That's
That's
all it
it.
is.
That's all it is.
Matter of fact, corporations working on the back of the working poor.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're making it because they don't pay taxes.
Right.
We pay taxes. And they get our tax dollars to hire us and then to fire us when they don't make enough wealth. There are corporations right now, big corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk about?
Hold up. What? Wait a minute. Let me. Go ahead. I had to make you big. Go ahead. I had to see all of this. Now
There
talk about
are
it.
big, there are big corporations right now that have taken federal dollars and only want to employ their people back so that they can fire them in December and not give them real pensions. They're only taking them back because they got money from the government,
Wow.
but they are not going to give them that money. So they can say, we did hire them, like you said, anybody who gets federal government money, then they must hire all their employees back. They're saying, we did hire them, but only with intentions to get rid of them again
Wow.
because they want to pocket that money themselves.
Bishop, how important? Um, well, I might need to take my little notepad here and write this down because I need to address this later. But I was surfing the internet today and looking at one of the social media feeds, and people started talking about a particular subject, and I felt myself getting a little steamed. So I got off of the subject of because you mentioned earlier about the president at that time issuing out something for us and the 40 acres and a mule. And, I've been saying that for the longest, hold my mule, as Shirley Caesar said, hold my mule. Just give me the 40 acres. You can hold my mule. I
Yeah,
can't do too much with the
yeah,
mule right now, but
right.
hold my mule. This subject has come up over the last week or so. I believe Bob Johnson said something, the founder of BET, about um, repay, repudiation, paying us back. I don't know what
Reparations.
reparation. I couldn't get my thought
Reparations.
together.
Yeah,
Reparation in front of this
yeah.
camera, trying to
We
be
owe
cute. I'm
reparations.
trying to be cute, but reparation. Um, Bob Johnson was saying that his plan of reparation was that each African American and through a system get back a certain amount of money, whether it's 350,000 per person or what have you. The comment on social media today was this: someone said, "If reparation is given, I would love to see it because I would love to see the formula for which they distributed it, and I want to know how much money should Oprah get."
I don't know, but she should be doing it if she's a descendant of a slave. I mean, what's the problem with her getting that?
Well, their argument was my family didn't enslave them, and my family only came over here in
Oh, I love
1940.
that.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I love that.
I'm gonna stir the
See,
I'm gonna stir the pot up.
what they don't understand, they always talking about what my family did. It ain't got nothing to do with your family. It's what your family benefited from.
Right, right,
That's what
right,
it is.
right,
And even Dr. King said liberation for black people has to be taken because the dominant culture benefits so much
right,
that
right,
they will never give it up.
right,
And we see that in our government.
right,
Mitch McConnell don't even want to allow certain things to come to the table so
right.
they can vote on it. Wait a minute. What are you going? What are you talking about? It's like too much money from the government when you can raise it up now to trillions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
that we owe, that the United States is in debt,
Right.
trillions of dollars,
Trillions.
because
Trillions.
you have given corporations billions of dollars, claiming that they're going to hire people. And here we are still as black people. Don't let anybody say that they have broken down the employment numbers for black people, because it's higher
Mm-hmm.
than what it was when Obama had it.
Mm-hmm. And you know, this is my problem with that, Bishop, because you said that about Mitch McConnell. Isn't it amazing that our system is set up and structured so that one person does not have all of the power, yet this one man does have the power if he can block there even being a vote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's not even a vote. It's,
Well, it's like being president. You know, folk talking about you can be president. No, you can't. No,
mhm.
you can't be president because you almost have to be a millionaire to be a
Oh
president.
yeah,
You either
definitely.
have to be a millionaire or you have to have some special dynamics in your family, like
Right.
Obama. Obama would never made it as president if his mother and grandparents had not been white.
Wow.
Now, I know people
Wow.
don't like that, but it's the truth. He was claiming both sides,
He
and
was.
that made the dominant culture feel like we can vote for him because he's not going to do anything against his mother or his
Right.
grand. Forget his father, because they all talked about his father. He from
Yeah.
Kenya.
Yeah.
He black, so he ain't no good because he ain't been in the house.
And he didn't look like this. He didn't have
Right,
this.
right. So
So they
now,
weren't afraid of him having they weren't afraid of him having chicken bones on the White House lawn and old abandoned cars sitting out there, you know.
it's like all the black people who are considered black in this country talking about I'm biracial. All of us biracial. My
Yeah.
ancestry says that I got some parts of I believe it's Sweden in us from somewhere. You know, that's just the slave master. you know, dipping in that pudding. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, I don't get into that. But all of us got a little something in us from somewhere. I mean, we got slave masters' names. My grandparents' names were Macon. And
Okay.
my great grandmother was sold for $1,200 at 12 years old at a
Time out.
plantation not
Time out.
far in a
Time out.
plantation not far from you.
Time out. Time out. Where's my can of worms? Here's my can of worms. Because you just said something and you just stirred up something. I gotta find my your grandmother was sold for how much?
$1,200. The records. We have a copy of the records. Her
So
name
are
was
you let's
Liza
let's
Jane.
let's get into this. Here's the can of worms. Because we didn't talk about this before. $1,200 your grandma was sold for. Why does that number sound familiar?
Yeah. The stimulus, because we can be set. Well, back then it didn't even go to her, but that's what they'll give us. But they'll give billions of dollars to corporations who exploit us. Because now, we live in this, I know people don't like it. We live in a fascist country. We're not claiming it. We
Okay.
claim we have a democracy. I got a note on my phone the other day saying, we want to fight against the failure of democracy. Democracy has already failed. This country is run by corporations. This country
Yeah.
ain't run by people.
Right.
It's run by corporations.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and that's the way it was under Mussolini in Italy. It was a
Uh-huh.
fascist country. So what you do, you feed the corporations so they can keep the slaves. Because we can't get jobs, we can't build corporations. Only
Right.
best we can do is build mom and pop stores.
Right. And
That becomes too competitive in our urban cities, then
uh-huh.
we get out of business. We run out of business. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so the big corporations, the airlines, the car, auto industries, all those places, they get money no matter what. Obama had to give them money.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he warned us and said, I have to do some things you all don't like." But see, he was already a Wall Street president.
Mm-hmm. This is
And he
good.
was Wall Street for. Wall Street ain't for us.
No.
Who the majority of our people don't have money to invest.
Right.
We're trying to live.
And they give us $1,200, which is the price that your grandmother was sold for. Twelve
$1,200.
hundred
You
dollars.
can
I saw that
just
the other day, by the way. I did see that the other day. I meant to bring that up on a show. It just popped up that $1,200 was the going rate for a slave.
yeah,
And isn't it ironic that they give us that 1,200? But let's talk about this,
that's
Bishop.
what the worth of it.
The worth of them. And then we have to deal with the fact that as blacks, I don't know whether we're African Americans, blacks, Negroes, we've got so many names through the years historically that we're only paid on average 42% of how do you refer to them? What race, with the greater,
Oh,
the dominant,
the biracial.
no, the dominant race.
Oh, the dominant race. Yeah,
Right,
I use that word for cultural terms without
right,
calling anybody. It's the
right.
dominant race.
And
That is dominant.
right. And
The
we're
dominant
not bashing,
population.
we're not bashing another race. Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
always I always say that just because I'm an advocate for and love my people doesn't mean that I hate your
Right,
people.
right. Don't. Paul said, I would that my people would be saved. Matter of fact, he said, I would be accursed if my people could be saved. In other
Right.
words, I wish I'd go to hell myself. That's what he said. I'll go to
Right.
hell. The word accursed. He used it in Galatians too. He
Uh-huh.
said, if I could be accursed, he said, I would be accursed if Israel could be saved. I feel an affinity towards my people. It doesn't mean that I hate other people. You know, when you say
Right.
that kind of foolishness, that's when you get mad about Black Lives Matter. Because then you trying to say that I'm saying the only life that matters are blacks, and that's not true. That's
No.
not what we're saying. But
Right.
I understand your disagreement with it because you don't believe we matter. That's deeply ingrained in you that you
Hmm.
really don't believe we matter. Because if you can sell us for $1,200 or give us $1,200 as a stimulus package and tell me to be happy and to jig and dance all around for you because you gave me $1,200, now you want my vote when you don't want to take off all these Confederate names off of the military bases. You telling me who you are. I mean, I can't
Hmm.
understand why folks talking about, well, I'm still going to support it. What's wrong with you? You like the slaves when they were there. Like if master sick, I'm sick.
Right.
Master,
Uh,
I'm
Malcolm talked about that, the house Negro versus the field Negro.
yes.
You
Well,
know.
it's not even that now. It's just Negroes everywhere. You can always find Negroes.
We's
You
okay,
gonna
boy.
whenever somebody is gonna benefit, they think they are benefiting in
Hmm.
position or either in materialism. You're gonna always find a Negro to say yes.
Wow. And
Oh,
you said something early that I really love, that Minister Farrakhan. Farrakhan said something in one of his speeches that has really stuck with me. He talked about the doing a panel discussion. He ended his talk, and if you're watching, if you want to Google it and go to YouTube, you can find his statement. Minister Farrakhan said that the O.J. Simpson trial, and I believe it was in '94, that he was found innocent of murder through a jury, but then he was found guilty of a civil suit,
yeah, I heard him say that.
which means that he was
He was
held
responsible,
responsible.
right?
And that's my point to those that say, well, my family didn't come over here. And my family, I think someone said earlier today, my family didn't get here until 1920 something. And my family, we never owned any slaves. And my people, and I'm Irish. And why don't I get reparation? I've got some Spanish. Listen, we're not saying that your family is guilty of enslaving my family, but your family is responsible because you are benefiting from it, because you can get a job that I can't get.
Yes. Yeah. Well, not only that, you started with wealth that we didn't have.
Right. And I
I mean,
think about, talk
you
about
know,
this, Bishop, because I think about this a lot of times when I'm out in the store, if I'm in a good neighborhood in a store and I see a family that looks like they can afford, I'll give you, we're name dropping tonight. Let's name drop tonight. We go to Walmart.
mm-hmm.
They go to Target. I go to Target for one reason. I can get in and out.
Yeah.
Walmart, the cashier's got to look. They always have the 78-year-old woman behind the register. She's moving slow and she's got to look at the things. Baby, where you get this from? No, I want to get in. Target, you're getting in and out, although you're going to pay more. When I go to Target and I'll see a family, immediately I look at the son, the little boy, and I began to say, he is at 9 years old, has a greater advantage than little Raekwon has in the hood.
Always. He could be from the Appalachian Mountains and in
Mm-hmm.
poor poverty living in a log cabin, but he still has a better chance
Has a
than a
better chance.
black child. Matter of fact, he has a better chance many times than black children that come out of Hollywood
Wow.
just
Wow.
because of who he is. I mean,
Wow.
look at Hollywood's industry. Look at the
Wow.
discrimination there. We go through that every year. Why
Wow.
we are not recognized. Our actors and actresses are not recognized. Why they don't get Grammys in certain movie roles and stuff. And what does it take for them to play to get something? I mean, it's all about. And look at the Hollywood moguls, because you know a lot of them are going to prison.
Leave Harvey alone. Harvey ain't bothering nobody right now.
For molestation, of people and using people and manipulating them to get what they want out of them. Like you can be great if you submit to whatever I want.
So guilty or innocent, they were extremely happy about Bill.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So I mean, really, but they have always had the advantage, and the advantage was given to them. I mean, they came and they took it because see, they didn't have it at first. You know, most people that came as immigrants from Europe were criminals.
Uh-huh.
All right, I won't go there either, but they were criminals. They
Mm-hmm.
came here to escape
Mm-hmm.
going to prison and jail. So that's how they started this country. But they try to act like won't nobody else here. See, part of what Ron Prosley don't know is ignorance. You know, Ron
Uh-oh, there you go, a name. All right.
when he talked about, and then he's gonna quote Churchill, who was a racist.
Who only served one? He only served one term. They got rid of Churchill right off the bat.
But Churchill was a racist. Churchill
Yeah,
talked about Asian people. He
yeah,
said, I don't trust nobody with slit eyes
that's
and
true. Yeah.
pigtails. And then he said, and black people will never reach the standards of the abilities of whites.
Mm-hmm.
He
Wow.
said that. That's a white supremacist view.
And
So
so listen at the quote that he used with Churchill, saying that if we the past and we combine it with the present, we isn't that a racist term to basically say
yeah,
you
yeah.
need to forget about it, leave it
Right. Forget
alone,
the
leave.
past. Well, that was basically what he's saying. Let's all get along and let's forget about what happened to you. I can't forget what happened because I know too much now about my history and my parents, my great grandparents. my grandparents, my great grandparents, who they
Mhm.
were and what happened to them.
Mm.
See, because my great grandmother, my sister and I got to come down because it was a plantation not too far from you down in Warrenton, uh,
Mhm.
in Warren County, that they enslaved my people.
Wow.
And so, $1,200 they bought my great grandmother. 1,200
Wow, $1,200. Which,
they bought.
when we hear about our history, and one of the old adages, old sayings, is that if we don't recognize our history,
Know it, you're going to repeat it.
you're going to repeat it. So we need to know our history.
We need to.
When we look around, how important is education? That was my point that I wrote down. Our education. How important is being educated on our past?
Oh, extremely important. One of the most despairing things is this gap between those of us of my generation and
Hmm.
the younger generation.
Hmm.
I love it that they are fighting,
Hmm.
and I got the revelation the other day that I'm supposed to support them.
All
In
right.
that, I mean, and really, I'm supposed to step back now. I think the baby boomers' time is about up.
Hmm.
It's probably been up because that's what is in Congress now. Baby boomers,
Right.
they should be out. We done got 2 or 3 generations in between them. We need some young blood now.
Yes.
Because the reason they have all this stalemate foolishness is because people too old in there with old ideas, and they benefit from being in there. They
Right.
done been in there so long. All of them get perks. They don't get paid a lot, but they get perks from
Right.
being in there.
Right.
Need some young blood now. But young blood can't just fight because they feel like they are ill treated.
Hmm.
They have to understand they are ill treated because they have a history of being ill treated.
Right.
Your
Right.
great, 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 great grandparents were ill treated. I mean, there's no, really, from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, can be proven wrong, there is no people on the face of the earth that's been ill treated than Black people, even Jews. The
Mhm.
Holocaust. I understand the Holocaust, but we lost multi millions of people coming across the middle passage.
Mhm. Mm.
They cut they cut babies out of women's bellies on the ships coming to America and threw them overboard, and then
Wow.
discarded the women.
Wow.
I, you know,
Yeah.
so what do you want? Gas or your belly cut off while
Wow.
you're alive and getting rid of your child? I mean, who has been treated like us on a continuous basis? And no matter how much the world progresses, we are on the bottom wrong. I said it years ago when Michael Jordan became an NBA player. They started talking. I think at one time he was making about 18 million when I was young, and $18 million, and everybody was going, "Wow,
Hmm.
18 million dollars! Who he is making? He's just really rich." Well, yeah, if you think about him, but if he's making 18 million and they got a team of players, what is the owner making? And now we found out that a lot of NFL and NBA owners act like they're slave owners. They're telling their players, "I own you."
I
Isn't that
can
what the man
trade you.
said in California?
I own. Yeah. I
I
trade you.
own.
One
Yes,
one of our guests last week brought up a powerful point. He said, "Look at the NFL draft. What does
right.
that remind you of?
What is it? It's trade.
It's parading the slave across the stage. This is
Trade them off. Trade them off. When you don't do well for me, I'll trade you to somebody else.
wow." And a lot of times we don't talk about this because you talk about trading a player, but a lot of sports they trade a player not for another player, but they trade him for cash.
Right, right. I've always said it ain't nothing but a gladiator sport.
Yeah.
It's like Rome. Why
But you
Rome? Why Rome? another Eurocentric country, city. Why Rome? But everything is Eurocentric, just like the police force. We didn't have the police force till about 18 to 45. Boston and New York had the first police force, and they were here to patrol slaves and to find runaway slaves. That's how police started.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you wonder why we got corrupt police force now?
Wow. I'm not going to, I want to do this. I haven't done this before. I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to drop myself totally out of picture so that you can have the entire screen for a second. If you will just repeat that entire statement that you just said, because that needs to be, I'm just going to, right now, you got the entire screen. Repeat that because I think that is so powerful. And then I'm coming back.
Okay. Well, what happened in the 1600s was when they first developed. It wasn't an organized police force. They were sort of marshals. Matter of fact, they had a name like that, and I forgot what the name was, but they called them um, uh, certain things like marshals, and they didn't have the authority. They were only there uh, to kind of keep the peace, that kind of thing, because it was an idea that came from England. The police force was an idea that came from England. So by the 1800s, 1844, 45, 46, the police force was organized. And it was organized first in Boston and then in New York. Matter of fact, New York was called, had a Eurocentric city name, they called it. But they were there only to patrol and to catch runaway slaves. That was their real job, and that's what they did. Well, that's 1845. Right after that came Emancipation Proclamation. After that, Reconstruction. Well, after Emancipation Proclamation, then they had those police force and the prison guards that if a black man spit on the street, he could be arrested and go to chain gang. I mean, so like in Emmett Till's case, you knew not to whistle at a white woman because you knew what was going to happen to you. And they made up laws as they went along so they could put them in the chain gang so they can have what? Free labor. Now, these are free black people. Near the end of the 1800s, the beginning of the 1800s just carried over because they did not want slaves to have their freedom, especially not as well, yeah, especially in the South, but they had them in the North too. I went to Martha's Vineyard and saw graves for slaves. Please, Martha's Vineyard. But anyway, here you're dealing with this kind of thing with the police department, and it has continued to the day because there has been no separation in what they did back in the 1800s when they were organized until now. So now we got video cameras and stuff, but you can know back then there was nothing. And you had a right to kill folk. You had a right to destroy black people because they were only property. They were only property. Matter of fact, I want to get into this thing. That's part of what's wrong with male patriarchy and why people interpret the scriptures wrong and males take dominance over females because they live in a male patriarchal system. And their wife and their children were nothing but property. Matter of fact, the Jewish males said that they were glad that they were not a Gentile. They were also glad that they were not a woman because they were considered property.
Wow.
So anytime you think, and matter of fact, now in some prison systems, when they put the suits on, what does it say on the back? property of the
property
state.
of the state. they,
Property
they
of
try to they try to hide it as though they're talking about the uniform.
Nah, ain't no uniforms, man. Ain't you uniforms. You the property of the state. That's why you work for $1.50 an hour.
Wow.
Because you are still a slave. And they control what you do. Not only do they control what you do, but they control what you make.
Right.
And so the prisons are, you wonder why they full of black people more than any other ethnic group there is? Because you are the continuation of the slave labor.
But they want to project that we're such bad evil people that we are the ones that's committing all the crimes. But if we don't know our history, I'll
Oh,
share this with you, and I'll let you. What frustrated me one day was walking into a room with my daughter, who was at the time about 17 years old, and asking her, had she heard of Malcolm X? And at 17, 18, about to graduate high school, she said, "No, I never heard of Malcolm X." Wait a minute. They didn't teach you about Malcolm X in school?
no, they're not.
No, I don't know. Okay. I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to blame them. It's my job. I said, you're going to sit right here. I said, I don't care how much the facts are off. You're going to sit here and you're going to watch this movie, this 3 hour movie called Malcolm with Denzel Washington. At
Right.
least you'll come away with some idea of who Malcolm X was.
Yeah. Well, see, I've never depended on the school system to teach my children how to be black because they are not. And
Mhm.
they don't understand. That's my responsibility. I'm gonna teach you how to be black. I'm gonna teach you how to deal with economics, finances, all those kind of things, because they're not gonna teach you that. And my kids went to private school. And I can't tell you how many times I had to go to private school to get them because
Mhm.
they in there being real black in a Christian school. Folks can deal with them. But I've always been that way. I mean, my
Mhm.
mother stopped me from reading A Soul on Ice, Eldridge Cleaver, and stuff, because I read all Black Panther stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I was, Kathleen Cleaver. I read all Angela Davis, all their stuff. I was reading that in high school. I used to sit in my closet with a light so I could read all of that stuff. Matter of fact, in my junior year, we had about 300 or 400 black students. We got them all to wear black with Tams and
Okay.
gloves. We had one black. I had one black glove on. I
That
mean,
was before that was
did
before
it
Michael.
every day,
That was
and
before
part of that was my rebellion because my mother didn't want me to go. Once I left middle school, she didn't want me to go to the black high school with my friends. She wanted me to go to a desegregated school. She wanted me to go to integrated school. And I was angry. So I rebelled against it. And I did everything I could. So when we had this big march into the school with all this black on, leather jackets and black uh, turtleneck sweaters and stuff.
Yeah,
You know, they called 5 people to the office. Guess who was one of them?
I know you were. So you didn't have on the white robe that time. You had on
No, I ain't
black.
have the white robe, brother. The white robe. Thank God the Lord saved me after high school. Cause I'm telling you, I was messed up. But I've been black for a long time.
But you said something. You said something. Maybe we can talk about this in the time we've been on. Wow, time's flying. You said that a lot of what you were doing, you've been black for a long time. There was a word that jumped out when you said it. You said you were angry. What is are we seeing anger now in society amongst us as we deal with the racial tension combined with the pandemic that's going on? People are frustrated, anger. We're seeing, I had a video, time won't let me show it, in which there was a white man who had murdered two people, killed a little child, choked someone at church. He's running around the streets. He's running around the streets, and while he's running around the streets, he is totally naked as he's running around the streets.
Yeah.
And he's running around the streets. Matter of fact, I'm sort of showing it now. You probably can't. Maybe you can see part of it. He's running around the streets now, and he's being chased by. He's at right here. He's actually chasing the officer, and you can see where now the officer is chasing him. And he doesn't have any clothes on. He's just now he's choking someone, and now the guy has his nightstick chasing. Now he's going in the woods. Look at the dog running away from him. Now my point is, Bishop, we see this and people see this, and the first thought is, but wait a minute, if that was me, we just see was, I'm shot in the back because you said I grabbed your taser. I was drunk. When you're drunk, you really, we all act a different way. So I can't say, well, if you're drunk, my question is, with all that's going on, where does anger fit in?
Well, I'm glad you said that because last week I just taught my Bible study on angry as an opportunity.
Okay.
I talked about anger as an opportunity, and like I said, it happened because a friend of mine called me and told me that her pastor said that she wasn't supposed to be angry, and that's a problem. And you're Christian, you call yourself Christian, but God got angry. So
Mhm.
thank God the psalmist said it don't last always, but
Yeah.
God got angry. I mean, anger is an emotion that's given to us
Hmm.
to express what we feel when that emotion happens. When something happens, we got to be able to express it, and you can't be passive all the time because you will never progress in life. Uh,
Okay.
you will always accept the status quo,
Hmm.
whatever happens to you. Um, if you don't learn how to use and channel your anger. Now,
Hmm.
uh, the Bible said, "Be angry." I
Uh-huh.
mean, I love stopping right there. Ephesians said, "Be angry." And what I think the writer was doing is traditionally given to Paul, but it's not necessarily an authentic letter of Paul. But yet it's been canonized, so we have it in the canon. He said, "Be angry, but sin not." Anger is an emotion given to us by God to express our distaste or dislike for something or anything that happens to us.
Hmm.
You gotta be able to express that. And anybody who never gets angry, I'm showing you a dead person. When you see them,
Can you be can it, I guess my question is, you said it's good to have anger, to express it. The other end of that other side of the coin is being angry and not expressing it can lead to danger.
yeah,
Is it Ecclesiastes 7, I believe, that says, um, anger rests in the bosom of fools?
it rests in the book. Well, look at what the Ephesians writer said. He kind of tacked on to that. He says, "Be angry, but sin not."
Hmm.
So how does it? And then he said, "Don't let the sun go down on your anger,
Hmm.
or don't let it go down on your wrath." King James version.
Yeah,
Got to throw that in for all my brothers and
yeah, we got you.
he said, "Don't let the sun go down." Now, and he's not telling you literally when the sun goes down. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to do scriptures in context. I'm trying to see if people want that because I'm hearing a whole lot of stuff out of context. Folks are saying that ain't right. Um, don't he said, "Don't let the sun go down in your wrath." That don't mean that day you got to stop being angry by 8 o'clock or by 8:30. No, just doesn't. You don't let
Pacific or Eastern?
it.
The sun ain't down out west yet.
You
It's
don't
still
let
daylight.
anger rest in you.
Right.
Don't let it rest in you until you become that.
Right. Good
Or
point, Bishop.
that becomes the
Excellent.
only thing you express. That's why he said, and don't let the sun go down on your wrath. And he said, and neither give place to the devil. And
Mhm.
that last statement is not a literal statement either. It's an idiom. It's an
Okay.
idiomatic expression. don't give place to the devil. In other words, they thought if you let it settle down in you till you start acting out in sin,
Mhm.
you are giving place to the devil.
And a
You know,
fool,
idiomatic,
according to Ecclesiastes.
yeah, same thing.
Right.
Idiomatic expressions are given throughout the scripture. Like we use idiomatic expressions. You know, the bucket come in the room. Well,
Okay.
the bucket come in, and no bucket literally walking in your room. But when somebody say that, they say, you know, they're about to die. You know, 'cause
Right. Okay.
you know that kind of. So that is an idiomatic expression. Don't give place to the devil.
Hmm.
So he's saying, don't let it rest inside of you until you are acting out in sin.
Hmm.
Now, that's controversial too, because then you got to define what kind of sins come out of anger. But I ain't going there. But be angry,
Hmm.
but use it as an opportunity because it's an opportunity. Number one, I believe, for stillness, for introspection. When you
Okay.
angry, it ought to make you sit by yourself sometime and wonder, why am I like this?
Okay.
And what is really here? Why am I angry? Because sometimes we're angry. Anger is a mask that we use to
Right.
cover up something else.
Well, how can we use anger and introspection in regard to what's going on with the racial tension in our country?
Yeah, well, you try to find out how you are affected. Why am I angry? Why? I mean, I sit and I think about why am I angry? I mean,
Hmm.
and I got a list. I got a litany of things that I can say
Well, well,
as to
Bishop,
why
let
I
me
am angry.
you.
But it takes. Well, let me tell you this. What part of my personal
Mhm.
anguish that comes when my parents made me go to go to an integrated school. I left
Mhm.
all my friends, and I ended up in an integrated school where I thought they really did not care about us
Mhm.
like they did when I was at Carnage in middle school, which was
Okay.
all black. I
Mhm.
noticed the difference immediately. Teachers, okay, you know, well, you can do if you want to. If you don't, then you don't have to. I'm gonna teach the
Mhm.
rest of the class, and you all can cut up. All that individual attention. Because see, I came up at Carnage. I lived in Biltmore Hills. Most of our teachers lived in our neighborhood.
Okay.
So they were on us. I mean, they beat us, to be truthful. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Albert Johnson, I didn't bring my math homework. He got down close to my desk one day and cussed in my ear and said, "You don't bring it tomorrow, I'm gonna whoop you." Now, now he was not my father, but
Mhm.
he reminded me of somebody who really either cared or either was not gonna be embarrassed by me. I mean, they did not play. I mean,
No.
show the concern. You're gonna make it. Because my children, matter of fact, my principal and his wife taught at the school. He was the principal, his wife taught at the school, and they had children that went to school with us. So
Wow.
they treated all of us just alike. I mean, they wanted all of us to make it. Then when we started, my parents made me go to
Yeah.
integrated. I was upset. I was all furious with them. Not only that, let me tell you this before I forget it. My mother worked in Cameron Village in the party shop.
Mhm.
She worked there as a clerk, and eventually she became the manager of the store.
Mhm.
The owner owned the store and an office place that he had, so office furniture and all this kind of. He wanted to sell to my mother. Make a long story short, the president of the black bank lived next door to us. I cut her grass. I kept her dog. I did all those things. The manager, the owner of the store, asked my mother if she wanted to buy it for $50,000. My mother tried to borrow the money from the black bank, and they wouldn't give her $50,000. To this day, we would have been the only black owners of any business in Cameron Village other than K&S. We
Wow.
would have been the inheritors of that. But because they did not give the money to her, they did not
And
know her. 50,
that is profoundly embarrassing, and I'll tell you why. That's all we've been talking about. We need to own our own banks.
could have owned it. My
But
mother wanted it.
even owning your bank, you not help the
That's
you
right.
now
Well,
that makes me angry.
nowadays, most of them ain't doing much of nothing. They don't really do no real business. And then they try to hold back on the folk that they should be given to so that they could build wealth. Well, not only that, man, then I was the president of Ministerial Alliance. I don't want to go through all this stuff, but I'm telling you, I had a vision. I thought to myself, we got hundreds of churches in the city.
Right.
Why we don't buy a shopping center? Do you know if we had 100 churches, we could get $1,000 from 100 churches? We could have $100,000 as seed money or as a down payment on a shopping center, even if we ain't got a million. I'm sure if the shopping center is in black community,
Oh yeah.
we could work with somebody that
Hmm.
will give us the opportunity, churches, to purchase it and then to put our people to work or put community people to work and run the business and make excellent business. Teach them how to be entrepreneurs. And then the church could be taken out of it, could be given $1,000 back.
Yeah, give me my
Or we
thousand
can
back.
give $1,000 every 6 months.
Right.
Or because if you can't give $1,000, you probably shouldn't be a church. Okay, all right. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I should have said that. I mean, really, because
Yeah. I mean,
you don't have to have and I don't know what you have. I don't know what nobody else got. I ain't talking about folk. But you ain't got to have a mansion. You ain't got to have a Mercedes. You ain't
right.
got to have a BMW. You don't have to have that. If you know who you are inside of you and in
Hmm.
your head, they can't take that away. See, I got a degree.
Right.
I got 2 degrees that I don't care if they came and burn them up.
Hmm.
They
Uh,
can't take the knowledge away first.
hmm.
Secondly, the degree is already acknowledged and written down. So
Hmm.
they can take the papers. They can't take that away. They can take my house. They can take my car. They can take my clothes. They can take my motorcycle. They can take my truck. They can take anything they want, but they can't take who I am. And
Right.
and they can't demolish that no matter what they say or they do about me.
Wow.
And I think what a lot of churches have, a lot of pastors have, are the wrong values.
Hmm.
They think what they own makes them who they are. And it's not what they own who makes them what they are. Because if you are what your Bentley says, then when your Bentley break down, are you broke?
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, like, who's into things like this? This is not
Right.
things. And I always tell people, I ain't never been poor, and I was raised in Washington Terrace, where they
Hmm.
sold liquor through the water faucet. Got it shot. But you know what else happened in Washington Terrace when I grew up? The black first mayor, the first black mayor lived across the street from me. The first black policeman, Mr. Street, lived across the street from me.
Hmm.
The 2 professors at Shaw University live next door to me.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
Bishop, let me ask you this. We're marching, we're protesting, we are angry. My question is, angry for what? And I asked this question the other day. If we are protesting and you take your young people or some of us that are older and pull us to the side and say, listen, you're protesting, you're marching, you're saying Black Lives Matter, you're saying you want to change for what? What is if we were asked specifically, what do you want as a black person? what would we say? I have an idea what one thing that I would say, but what would we do? People even know what we're marching for, other than the fact that you've seen a video of someone murdered?
Yeah. Well, in regards to that, I do think um, I'm in favor of community policing. I think
Okay.
if you have people that police who are in your neighborhood, who live in your neighborhood, who know the people in their neighborhoods, I think that might make a difference. Not saying that it will erase the way everybody does everything, but I think it will make a difference. Because see, these people who are killing us don't know us, don't care to know us.
Hmm. Right.
They just see who we are. And that's why I don't listen to people talking about I don't see color. Color is the first thing you see. You can
Right.
say it all day, all night. You see color. You've been
Right.
oriented to see color. So you see it. Now you see it, you got to react according to what's in you when you see it. So
Hmm.
I think, and I'm all for change being made in every way that's connected economically. See, part of I think our problem with our people per se, which I really believe is that we have lived so long like we have
Hmm.
that we have become accustomed to this. We have made the adjustment to living beneath our privilege, using the church lingo.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we have rights, but we don't think about them. We have potential to do a lot. I mean, I saw my mother push the edge, push the envelope all the time. When she lived, she was not afraid. And and she was determined to have what she wanted and to do what she wanted to do.
Hmm.
And I got that same kind of spirit. And
Hmm.
but I think we have to be careful that we don't ask for things that are not tied to economics. Because
Okay.
police are just like the thieves. That's terrible, isn't it? When I say police, I don't mean individually. I
Hmm.
mean corporately.
Right.
The police force are like thieves. Look at how thieves progress. You go get, you put locks on your doors. What do? Learn how to break locks.
Yeah.
You put locks on your door knobs. What do? They get tools to learn how to go in your door,
Hmm.
your doorknob. Sit there like, okay, now you get security. What do? Now they know how to cut cameras off. Now you put them in places where they can't be cut off because they don't
Hmm.
know where the head of it is, the head of
Uh-huh.
the system. So they don't know how to so now what they do? Put hoods on and break in your house or break in your store. So they don't
Uh-huh.
know who you are unless they get with some of your friends who were
Uh-huh.
there and one of them get caught and then they make you tell it. Otherwise,
Uh-huh.
they don't know. What's happening with the thieves? Thieves are making adjustments.
Okay.
But what about the police? Well, we didn't have video cameras on phones.
Right.
Now we got video cameras. So what do? You take them from sitting them down on a wall, George Floyd, where there are cameras that show it, street cameras. You
Right.
take them across the street on the other side where there are no cameras. And hopefully it won't be no young girls over there on the other side taking pictures so we can see really what's going on the whole time. So you make adjustments to work around. So now, if you shoot a taser gun at me, I'm angry now. So I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to literally shoot you. And I'm going to shoot you with hollow points because hollow points ain't coming out of, they go in and
Right.
tear your insides up.
Right.
I know because I got them. but I'm 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 in the tradition of Peter, who cut off Malcolm's ear.
I'm a, well, I'm not Peter, I'm Medea. Peace, be still, peace made of steel.
Yeah,
If you come in here, it's gonna be just like church.
well,
You ain't gonna leave like you came in Jesus'
yeah,
name.
Jesus' name. You tell people. I said, you ain't. I said you may get 3, but you ain't gonna get 9.
Nah,
You ain't gonna get 9 of us.
nuh-uh.
You gonna have to get 3 mighty quick, but you ain't gonna get 9. But I think people gonna keep working around it. So if you don't make policies and laws that can be enacted and changed, then I don't see no point in trying to ask for those kinds of things.
Right.
I think you ought to make number one police chief. See, that's why I don't know why our people will not vote. You know, somebody said when we had the quarantine back in March and started a stay at home policy.
Uh-huh.
And somebody put on Facebook, stay at home like you did in 2016. That's what that means.
Right.
Stay at
Well,
home
this is, well, well,
when you
well,
should
this,
not to vote.
this this is one of my things that I would love to have a platform to fight for. And I mentioned this in the ending of a show. I think it was Friday. I just went off. When I was younger, I messed up. We didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have the money that other families have. And when I was younger, I wanted a pair of, I always remember I wanted a pair of black jeans and I wanted a Dr. J jersey. And I had a friend whose mother would buy him all the jerseys and everything. And my friends and I, we wanted the jerseys and we would paint jerseys on the t-shirt. Man, I said, I want a jersey. You know what I did? And I'm just going to be transparent. I went downtown Philadelphia. I went in the department store and I stole what I wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
I had friends that stole. I had friends that robbed people.
All of us did it.
They got caught. I didn't. Here's what I'm upset about. I stole, I did wrong. If I went to jail and I paid my debt to society, why have you then, when I come out of jail, taken the hand and put it across my throat and my mouth and silenced my voice to make a choice and vote?
Yeah, yeah, and they shouldn't do that either. Well, that's opening up now. Some
Well, some
people who have
states,
been incarcerated now are given the right to vote.
right,
What state is in? They're giving it back to them because they know they should. But
right,
you know, but if they had done right in the first place, you probably wouldn't be stealing from them.
right. Because if you, because yeah,
Right,
because if you don't do right, then you cut off my voice. You handcuff me in a sense because now I can't get a good job because I have that word felon on there.
right,
Now, when I was younger, I didn't have the money to get myself the things that I needed or wanted, so I went and stole it. Now, years later, you've handcuffed me because of the mistake I made then, and now I can't get my children the things that they want to need. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go right back out and do the same thing.
right. Well, I think, but people who never lived like that don't understand
Don't
that.
understand, right?
They don't understand that. And so what I'm saying is what we're doing is not tied to the economics of the people who are in control, the
Okay,
powers that be. If it's not tied to economics, it's not going to do anything.
got you.
You
Right.
got to hit people where it hurts. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm looking at all who are supporting, all corporations that are supporting the candidate that I don't want for president, whoever that is. I'm not calling any
All
names,
right.
but whoever that is, I'm looking at all, and I'm finding out Chick-fil-A support them,
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's support. Let's call the roll.
Call the roll.
McDonald's is supporting them. Olive Garden is supporting them. Matter of fact, the Attorney General, whoever that is having dinners, expensive luxurious dinners with corporation CEOs and founders, Home Depot, and they are spending tax dollars, our tax dollars, to have these big dinners with these people so that they can support a certain campaign. All four of those that I named are part of those groups. Now, and it's more. There's a longer list. So, but then these are the fast food chains in our neighborhoods
Right. In our right. Right.
that we don't want to stop supporting because we can't afford to go somewhere to have organic food.
Right.
We can't afford that. And that's all over the country. It's
Right.
hard for people go. They have to go right in their neighborhoods, so they go in the neighborhood. They either have mom and pop stores or either these fast food chains that charge them a little money to get food that ain't good for them, and so they end up being diabetic. So they're being sick. Now look at the chain. Look at the chain. You can't afford the real food that you should have. You can't afford organic food. You can't afford vegetables. You
Mm-hmm.
can't afford foods that's good for you. So you end up getting sick. So what do? We cut the Affordable Care Act for health, so you can't have health. Then we cut the hospitals. We cut the hospitals you can go to because so you can't get well, and then you die, and then you can't vote. Or either you steal, and then you got to go and face the judge that you didn't vote for, and the district attorney
Wow.
that you didn't vote for, who's in cahoots with all the police that arrested you.
Wow. Wow.
And then you go to prison and you become a slave uh, for slave labor until you come out.
Wow.
And you more than likely, because you come back to the same neighborhood,
Same
do
system.
the same things and
Same system.
repetitive,
Right.
repeat
Right.
offender.
Right.
I worked in the penal system in Virginia. I worked as an institutional parole officer. That's where I did my internship as a social work
Mm-hmm.
major. Intern, and they used to laugh when we have the orientation sessions with about 30 guys who had just got incarcerated. They would laugh at them when we asked, how many of you are repeat offenders? And when the guys would raise their hand, most of the other guys would just start laughing at them and said, what are you back in this crazy place for?
Wow.
Because the system
The
keeps us
system.
going.
Right.
The system. So if we don't ask for something that
Right.
affects the economic system and our plight,
Right.
then we are not asking for something that's going to really change anything for us.
Right. Right. Because and then someone asked me a question the other day. I got into a debate on Twitter with a gentleman who said he just didn't believe that it's systemic racism, that it was just individual cases. I told him,
Is it
well,
black?
systemic. I said, you take the case of Wells Fargo that were they were giving loans to
Right,
whites that had lower credit scores,
right.
lower income, and he said, well, that's just Wells Fargo. That they no, it's the system. And so when these guys get out of prison, it's not that they come back to the same neighborhood, they come back to the same system.
Come, because we never change it.
We never change it.
But we don't change it because either the people that we have elected are
Hmm.
afraid to go that way. Like I said a while ago, they benefit from being in these places.
Right,
They
right.
are afraid to go because whenever something like that happens, Cortez, you
Uh-huh.
get blackballed early.
Right,
They are on their way to get you out because you are fighting what they don't want to change.
right.
And the powers that be are so strong. I mean, this is big. This really is bigger than the president.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was trying to explain the other day. I ran for office 4 years ago, and I didn't win, and I was told that they didn't want me to win because I would not have gone along with their system.
And
Uh,
sometimes your party Sometimes your
And
party
that's
will
what it
keep
was.
you.
It was my party.
Yeah, your party will keep you from doing it because you're not playing the game that they
Right.
want you to play.
Right. And so, that being said, I was trying to stress the other day that I know we talk about who's in the White House. I know we talk about voting in November to change the dynamics of the White House, but the real vote, the real power of the vote is coming from the lower level.
It's local. All politics are local. That's the truth. All politics are local. That's why I'm pushing. I really want to go, and I don't even know that much about civics myself, but I'm going to get a civics expert, and I think I'm going to stand on the corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard and, and Raleigh Road, and I'm going to see if I can teach. We can be out there and teach civics to our people and bring it home to them, because that I just explained a while ago.
Mhm.
You don't vote for the judge. You don't vote for the
That's
district attorney.
powerful. That's powerful.
And you don't vote for the mayor. The mayor appoints the chief of police.
Yeah, but
So if you got
here's my question, and I'm going to ask you this. I asked it the other night. It seemed like I'm getting right back into it. Someone told me stop beating a dead horse. It's not dead yet. It's still
it's not
breathing.
dead. It's
It's
not
still
dead.
breathing. Who is your? I'm not sure. City council person or commissioner.
Well, I live here in Apex.
Okay, so who is your representative?
For North Carolina,
Any office.
I don't know the name. Well, Price, Congressman Price, I stay
Okay,
connected to, who's in the who's in Congress.
okay. Now, the reason I ask that is because you'd be amazed how many people don't know who their elected officials are.
Yeah, well, they don't. They don't know because most time they don't care because they really don't think they are affected by those people.
Right. We just
And
think
that's
it's the
why
White House.
we got to make connections with them. You got, your mayor elects your chief of police. I mean, they choose who the chief of police is.
Right.
That chief of police teaches and trains the police force that beats you down when they want to. If you don't understand that, you won't try to figure out how you can get the right mayor in place,
Right.
the right district attorney. Because, like I said, all the detectives and police work with the district attorney every
Right.
day.
Right.
They are in cahoots. So when you commit a crime, you gonna stand before that judge that you did elect.
You didn't vote right because
That
you didn't know to vote, or you didn't know who the candidate. I mean, how many people have gone to vote and looked at the names and said, "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo."
yeah. I mean, you can't eat and mean amount more. You got to read up on them. You got to see what they stand for. And now we need to have forums where they come and we ask them the hard questions.
Right.
We ask them. At least we can find out if they got to make up something. They can make it up. We ain't got nothing to do with that. We need to ask them the hard questions. I mean, the questions where they say, "I got to think about this," or "I got to go back to the drawing board and figure this out." Because we usually try to use diplomacy, and
Right.
diplomacy don't get you nowhere. It
Right.
don't get you nowhere. You got to ask folks. That's why I won't run for office. People say,
Well,
"You
yeah.
need to run for office." No, I'm not, because I'm being
It's a
said.
sacrifice. It was a sacrifice for me because one of the points I brought up when I was running was about education, and it was a sacrifice because I made the comment that we do need more community involvement, but the community involvement we need needs to be serious involvement. It needs to be involvement where we don't need the local politician, the local clergyman, the local business person to come into the school and the principal take them around to each classroom and then they go and do a photo op in the room with the teacher of the year. I said, we don't need you in the room with the teacher of the year. They know their stuff. You need to be in the room with the
The board.
long-term sub that doesn't have an
Yeah.
idea of what's going on. That's who needs your support, that long-term sub, not the teacher of the year. Teacher of the year don't need help. And so I talked about that, and then only to go back to work and have the principal say, excuse me, can we clarify you didn't have a problem with what's going on around here? So no, sir, I'm fine.
Well, you ought to attend board meetings, and you need to find out who's on the board, the school board.
Right, right,
Even above them, they are
right,
already cutting education money. I mean, they've been doing it for years.
right,
They've been cutting education money because
right.
their kids are going to go to school. And not only are they cutting education money, they're making these charter schools with tax dollars so that their white kids can go
Wow,
to these schools instead of black kids. And they'll give one or two scholarships black kids to go so they can have a quota.
wow,
I'm
wow.
telling you, and that's where the money is going. That's why most, well, certain party people are voting for charter schools. And what they're doing, they don't like it for you to say it, but they're taking urban money out of inner city schools where the kids go to who can't afford that. They are taking that money away and then making charter schools. And then they're telling black people, your kid can go to a charter school if you apply for it. They don't have to go to the public school. Even though you've already paid money, taxes for the public school, they take it from that and put it in a charter school. And then all the white people who can afford it get their kids in those charter schools. And black kids cannot go unless they apply for a scholarship.
Or we remain on the waiting list.
Or we remain on the waiting list in our schools that's dilapidated. And I mean really,
Yeah,
um, that's not as much in North Carolina as it is in larger urban cities. But
right.
that's the truth. That's what's happening now.
Should we, and I'm not gonna hold you. Wow, we've been on here a long time, Bishop. But should we, we talk about elections coming up and our candidates, and I'm still that's still ringing in my ear the judge that you
Right.
didn't vote for
Yeah.
or voted for. You're standing before.
You
Should
know.
we, whether it's forums or whatever, because you look at a city like Raleigh, the Raleigh Durham area, you look at Raleigh, and if you have a forum and you have it in a location where you may have 75 to 100 people, should there be a system in place where forums, we have a public forum on that's televised that the state or someone, the city foots the bill for it to where everyone is given access to that opportunity to hear that forum?
Yes. Yes. We should meet. I'm gonna see what I hear a lot of people doing. We should meet with the city. I don't care if it's an open air forum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Stop trying to bring clergy together. Stop trying to bring preachers together. They're trying to get another appointment. Preachers get on, they talking about, are you doing your services pre-recorded or are they live? Stop that foolishness. Go in the neighborhoods and uh, um, teach these people that who are dealing uh, with this stuff, who don't understand uh, uh, the governmental positions,
Mm-hmm.
who don't understand governmental positions, so they
Mm-hmm.
can understand what they are supposed to be voting for. And I saw that about charter schools, and that's I I know all charter schools are not that. Some schools are privately funded. I'd be interested to know who they're funded by. But I know that the government is providing funds for a lot of charter schools.
That's Tracy Green, my former classmate. He's out in California. Maybe Tracy, you can tell us who is funded by.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about especially any schools that we are together on,
Mm-hmm.
that we are working, we have a hand in, we have an investment in it, where we can
Right.
help make decisions about where it's going.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Right.
we ain't talking about we talking about where we have no control,
Right. Right.
and we're talking about what's hurting inner city schools. Now, I'm not against charter schools. I'm against bringing the public schools to deterioration.
Right.
That's
Right.
what I'm against.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's almost like the love. Do you love your people? And if you love your people, you hate everybody else. No, that ain't true.
Right.
Not true. And I don't let folk try to put me in that. You know, my thing is, I'm talking about the schools where we work and pay taxes,
Uh-huh.
where
Right.
corporations don't work and pay taxes. See, because we started programs here in my neighborhood. We had a house, we had an apartment in an apartment complex, 3-bedroom apartment that we did tutoring and rites of passage in.
Okay.
Yeah, it was subsidized housing under
Mm-hmm.
the hood for years. They never gave us a dime. For 2 years, we paid the rent so we could do it. Had about 60 kids we were working with. I can't tell you how many kids I bought shoes for. I can't tell you how many kids that were 4 years old, 5 years old, never held a pencil in their hand, didn't know their name when you wrote it for them, didn't
And then
have early
right.
childhood education.
And how much are we getting now that we are adults? And I'm going back to this point, and I'm going back to this point that we were just talking about how we can go to vote in November and we know nothing. Uh someone mentioned earlier that, and he did write on here that making Waves Academy is funded by millionaires, John Scully. Um, we were
Like
talking about
SAS
the
here in Research Triangle, the owner of SAS,
okay, right.
put a community put a community building in the project area, in the last project area we have in Raleigh.
Hmm.
Called us because they knew the work that we did in Rich Park housing. Called
Hmm.
us to ask them uh, to come and help them do what they were doing.
Okay.
I said, well, okay, you gonna let us be involved? No, they just wanted us as a consultant, and we
Hmm.
decided we were not going to do that because we had been working in that Kentwood area
Hmm.
across from our church. We had been working in that area with those kids, and so they went eventually and built a community center, not a school. Now this is one of the top 100 wealthiest people in the U.S.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard of
And
SAS,
we, yeah,
but this is
you
the
know, I
kind of
heard of
stuff I'm
sassy. I'm
talking
right here with fast. But
about.
Bishop, my final point, we're gonna let you go for the evening, is how do we educate our people? We talk about election coming up, and the fact that when we go vote, the only time I'll ever hear the name or see the name Robinson is in a sign that was out on the road. I know nothing about these candidates. I know nothing. You know, if you're like me, if I run into you and you shake my hand, you out kissing babies and shaking hands, I'm thinking, are you really only doing that so you can get elected? We know nothing. Someone did mention earlier that their voting record is public knowledge,
Yeah,
but
public.
we don't know to even look for that. We don't know where to look for it. We know nothing except we're bombarded with the fact that it's a presidential elect. That's why the numbers are so low during non-presidential year of election. The numbers drop in 2018. They're probably, 2008, the whole all of us showed up because we showed out saying we're gonna show y'all. We went back in 12 and said we're gonna show y'all. In 16, we said, well, we don't have nothing to show you. In 18, we don't have anything to show you. Now we're probably gonna show out in November, but we need people to show up and show out for these local elections because who you're everything from your and I want to say this too because I had a young person that said that it was difficult even trying to get young people to vote because every election that we've ever had been involved in, whoever gains the most votes win. Except for the last presidential election, the one with the most votes
Electoral.
lost.
Yeah,
But because of that outdated electoral college, how do we get? We need a mindset change, and we need to know everything.
yeah.
I'll say this. You don't have to answer that question. I'm gonna let you go because you laid back, and I'm about to lay back. I I spoke to a young man that came from Venezuela a few years ago in a teaching swap program, and he came here. An American teacher went to Venezuela, and I asked him. I said, "Man, I'm curious. What is the biggest difference in the culture of being here in the States and being in Venezuela?" And I was saying that because I thought he was going to say, well, the food and the clothing. He said, no, the biggest difference in the people in my country and the people in the United States is a simple one. People in my country, they know everything that's going on around the world. People in America only know something if it affects them.
Mm, yeah,
He said our people know all about who the prime minister of Israel is, or who they know all about the events going on around the world. He said, but you all only know something if it affects them. And I caught that. I took that to heart. I said it was true, but I never really realized how true it was until I said what I said the other day during a post on Facebook that there are twins, coronavirus and racism, twins, because people don't believe either one truly exists until it affects them.
yeah. Well, and add triplets, classism.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
real now. That
Yes.
that's very real. But I they used to say if you don't want black people to know something, you put it in a
Put it in
book.
a book. Uh-huh.
But we have access now to all kinds of information
Yeah.
online.
Right.
And if only people will start searching for those kinds of things
Right.
instead of entertainment.
Right.
I think our value systems are really messed up, that we value entertainment more
Right.
than the progression of our own lives.
And that's from church on out.
That's everywhere, and it's really sad that we don't know uh, as much as we could. That if, but I think we have a responsibility to use these tools now
Hmm.
uh, to disseminate that information to other people,
Yes.
whoever
Final
will look at it.
final question, and we're going. I promise we're gonna go get out of here, Bishop. If you want to hit that question that Tracy asks about private prisons being in association with private businesses.
Yeah,
Private prison.
yeah. Oh, that's a dangerous thing. Um, and the same thing with the police force. It's the regulations, policies, and stuff that if you the owner of the prison, then you write your own policies. I mean, and private businesses, they're gonna make more people. I know they said here in North Carolina that they had to have prisons prepared for fourth graders.
Wow.
They're preparing for fourth graders, and then those who were private owners of prisons said they had to have so many people ready for prison, or they couldn't have it as a business.
Wow.
So some things, and that's for the people who said there's no system here. The system is setting up the private prisons so that they will have a certain quota of people. I mean, if I keep
Mhm.
you poor, if I keep you in poverty, if I keep you uneducated, if I keep everything out with outside of your reach,
Mhm.
then you're going to probably more than likely commit a crime, and
Mhm.
then we will incarcerate you and put you into prison so we can make money off of you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Bishop, we've been on here
you need to
quite
find
a
out
bit.
what those businesses are too. and
Yeah.
got to deal.
We've been on here all night, and I have enjoyed myself.
Bless you, sir.
We talked about this. We said we were going to come on here for a few minutes, and we're going to look up. It's going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I don't know, we've
I
probably been on here 2 hours,
think we close.
but it was well worth it. I
I hope so.
appreciate you. I appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge. I brag on the fact that we live in a society now where everyone has their doctorate or have their degree, and they get it from Sam's Club of Theology or something, and how you have your actual earned degree from Duke Divinity, and I'm proud of that. I tell people all the time, my brother got it going on. He know his stuff, and you've proven it tonight with your insight on. Not just biblically, we talked on some practical historical things that we're going to take with us. And I'm telling you, that thing about the police, the formulation of the police, that was just powerful. That was powerful.
It's all online.
Yes, sir. And I thank you. And before I let you go, I do want to ask you one more question. Can we do this part two? Can we come back for three? You
I
come
would
back.
love to, man. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about it. I'm a social work major, so this is therapy for me.
All right. Okay. Good. Well,
this keeps this keep me being angry but sinning not.
all right.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, just come on and vent whenever you want to come on. Let me just, let me know it's time for me to come back and vent, and I will let you come back. You tell me.
All right, my brother.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your night. What little is left of it.
Thank you. Same to you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
God bless.
Bless you too. I want to thank my dear friend and brother, Bishop Gerald Sylver. That was wonderful, my friends. I'm telling you, that was powerful. I just enjoy talking to someone that really they know what's going on, and the information that he shared tonight was just powerful. That information was just, it was what was needed. It was what we needed to talk about. And so we want you to take this information and feed off of it. Let's talk to the next generation. Let's get the word out that our vote means something, not just for the White House, but the vote that affects your house is what matters. This was powerful. I need a couple favors from you tonight. I need you to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to it. I also need you, if the Lord lay on your heart, to support us, because this broadcast means something to you. If it means something to you, let me tell you, this broadcast is not a free broadcast. We could just get a cell phone and pop it in front of my face and you're looking up at me. No, I wanted to put together something meaningful and powerful. And so we invested in it. I'm going to invest in it. I'm going to make sure we come to you every day if possible, as soon as I can get a guest. I also need you to go into the comment section and put the name of someone that you would like to have on this show. Let me find out how to contact them. I will put them right here next to me. They can go right here next to me and we can talk about it. These are your guests. We want to hear from your individual people, whether they're friends, family, people that have some knowledge. We want to share the signs of the time with those that you want. So if you have a name of someone that you want to have on the show, you want me to contact, and we'll try to do that so we can get them on there. Also, I said we're going to get this done. That being said, we need your support. Any amount. If you see the Cash App sign, the $ Eagle Austin on the bottom, Cash App, any amount. I don't care if it's $1, if it's 50 cents. I don't want to have to outsource so that I'm getting corporations to sponsor this show, because then I'm limited, because I can't. We talked about some businesses earlier tonight. Well, I can't talk about what those businesses are doing if those businesses are donating to me to help us to stay on. So we need your support so we can get on here with people like Dr. Sylver and just talk about things that affect us. I want to thank you for your comments. Your comments are powerful. The fact that it shows how educated and informed you are, it means a lot. And finally, hit the share button. Share this. Let's get that information was powerful tonight. Hit the share button and get it out there. Tomorrow we're gonna have another guest for you, and Wednesday we're gonna have a guest. Thursday we've got a guest lined up. We're gonna be talking about some community things, some things that are going on in the community with helping one another. And then hopefully by Friday, we can get our special guest that I talked about when the show started. Listen, my friends, we're not gonna hold you any longer. I want to thank you for being with me tonight. And I'm going to ask you one question, like I always ask you every night. When you go to bed tonight, before you lay down and fall asleep, I want to challenge you to look yourself in the mirror. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself one simple question. When I fall asleep in a few minutes, did I do something to work toward my destiny, or did I simply waste another day? I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Bless you, and remember to keep looking for the sign of the times.